and pass the exam with success. And one way that I recommend to actually go through the problems is, I call it the 3-pass system. So what you do is, the first time, after you've kind of reviewed everything, taking about 5 minutes just to kind of skim the exam, first thing you want to do is actually go through and do the easy problems, we'll call them. And these are problems that you know cold, or you know with no other, you don't really need a reference to even do them. You can just answer the question. It might be a verbal question, or it might be a simple calculation you do. Um, but these are problems that you can probably do within a minute or two, or maybe 3, and you just can do them very quickly and easily. And the nice thing is, you'll probably, in the morning, you'll probably have about 10 of those. My guess is that's about 25%. So if you can think that you can get 10 problems done in an average of 2 minutes, well, you can get 10 problems done in 20 minutes, and that's 25% of your morning exam. So you can focus the rest of the 3.5 hours, or 3 hours and 40 minutes, or whatever, on 75% of the problem. So that kind of gets you a leg up, and gets you kind of moving, and gets you grooving into the exam. Then you go around, do another set, and these are going to be your core. It's probably going to be half of your number of questions, and these are the problems that you know how to do. You have a pretty good. You just need to refer to your manual, find the formula, plug it and chug it, and go and do the problem, and spend about between 3 to 6 minutes on that problem. And that's a good place to have a couple of quick references. The civil engineering reference, civil engineering reference. The civil engineering quick reference is a good one for that, and also just having your thing tabbed is a good way to go through and just boom, pick that formula out, and go ahead and do that problem. And also having an index is another good thing to have, and that way you can go into the index, see where the formula is or where the reference is, and then go to the place that you need to go in your book. And so that's the second pass, and that's the medium level. And on that level, remember, my guess is you're going to do about half your problem. So that's going to take a couple hours to do those. So that's going to leave you about an hour or half an hour to do the remainder problems. And these are the hard ones that you're going to basically need to come back to because they're difficult. You weren't 100% sure how to do them, or you knew they were going to take a lot of work. So go back, do those, and do them in an order where you think you can get those done, and try not to spend too much time even on those. I mean, if you're spending more than 6 or 8 minutes on a problem, then especially 10 minutes on a problem, then you may want to come back to that one later and wrap that one up. So that's kind of a guideline, and everybody's kind of got their own preferences. So that's what I do, and I find success in that. I like getting that early start and that early success, and that helps me roll through. And you're going to want, and another strategy is, in the morning, you're really going to want to do as good as you possibly can, because typically the afternoon, I found, is more difficult than the morning exam. So if you can get some momentum in the early part of the exam, and especially the early part of the AM exam, then I think that'll give you a lot of heads up for the afternoon. So that's my recommendation. And of course, if you got any time left, you're going to make sure you have enough time, like 15 or 5 minutes left, to make sure you have every single bubble answered and filled in, because remember, this is a multiple choice exam. And so what that means is, and there's no penalty for guessing. So if you actually bubble all of them, then that's what you're going to want to do. All right. So that's my big strategy for taking the PE exam, and I would recommend you thinking about that strategy for yourself as well. All right. So a couple other things to just kind of keep in mind is to, first of all, when you're taking the exam, that you're going to want to bubble. It's a Scantron type format, which means it's 4 multiple choice questions, 4 or 5, and so what you'll do is you'll have to bubble in the thing, and I'm sure most of you have done an exam like that. So as you know, you just need to take your time when you bubble that in, and also remember to only enter that one time. In other words, and only bubble that in one time, and try not to go back and keep erasing it multiple times. Also, as usual, make sure your units are correct as far as being PSF or PSI. Make sure you're not off by a factor of 144 in that case. So, and they will put both of those answers on there. So just keep that in mind as well. Um, I mean, this should be just obviously, but before you work a problem, just kind of think through it, come up with a strategy for each individual problem, and then work it. It's not a trick exam, but that's not to say there won't be some you know they're going to put all the possible ways to solve the problem, and one of them will probably be off by a factor of a unit system, and one will be if you get your units right, you probably got a better chance of well, you definitely have a better chance of answering, but you can probably rule out one or two of the questions just by having your units right. But they're gonna use the incorrect method to solve the problem too. So that's just something to keep in mind. Just kind of remember, think through it, and I think you'll do a fine. And just keep in mind, just don't get bogged down on a problem. If you feel like you're taking too much time, then just move on. You don't have to answer every single problem in sequential order. But do remember that, I mean, if you're skipping around like I'm recommending, the only downfall to that is you can get off track with which one you're answering. So when you do that, just make very sure that that you're answering the right number on there. So just make sure you're doing that. Alright, so those are some tips to help you get through the test day blues and get the PE, pass the PE exam. And after the exam, celebrate because you deserve it, and take your family out because they've supported you, and your wife or your husband in this case has supported you and helped you through this exam. So celebrate. Hopefully you've passed it, but you definitely deserve a break after your hard work. So just keep in mind, prepare and plan ahead. Remember the 3 C's: cool, calm, and collected. And the 3-pass system, and just think through the problems, and you'll do fine on the PE exam. So those are my strategies for taking the PE exam. I hope that was helpful for you, and I hope that will help you to get through the PE exam successfully. So in conclusion, first of all, a couple things I just wanted to announce at the end of the show. First of all, just wanted to give a shout out to 3 people that have given me some reviews on iTunes, and I do appreciate that, and I thank you for that. Also want to remind you to connect up with me over on twitter.com/Andy Richardson, or also on acetope.com. Those are a couple ways you can connect up with me. And finally, be a part of the show. And this is what I was talking about earlier. If you would like to be a part of the show by actually asking a question that I would be glad to answer, it could be a technical question, an actual problem you're having trouble with, and we'll solve it right here and figure it out together. It could be, you can email that over at info@acetope.com, and also you can send an email or just send me an audio file of that. So be glad to get that information from you. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this show, and look forward to hearing back from you guys, and hope the best for you on the PE exam. Thank you.